You're hoping if you spin the chamber enough times, you're gonna catch a bullet.
It's just easy that way.
Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of The Good, The Bad, The Score. I'm Collin.
And I'm Andrew.
And today we're going to be reviewing the latest Netflix original movie, Extraction. So Extraction centers around Chris Hemsworth playing Tyler Rake, a mercenary for hire who is assigned to rescue this young boy who is the son of an infamous mafia boss, I believe.
Yeah, it's a drug dealer. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a kidnapped son of an imprisoned drug lord. So the whole movie is Chris Hemsworth as Tyler having to go and extract this young boy while everyone around him in India is trying to get him. Now, Andrew, funny enough about this movie is that what caught our attention to it is that this is written by Joe Russo, and it's produced by the two Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe. From their fame has been from... they started off with some episodes of Arrested Development. They directed a lot of Community, and more recently, they have been behind so many Marvel movies, especially Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Yeah, so they have been since then. Their names have been plastered on so many other movies, whether they're a producer or writer. So this is one of them to where not only are both of them producing, but Joe Russo actually wrote the script for this movie.
Yeah, I didn't realize that till the end.
I know. Well, I found that interesting. I didn't know that he wrote actually the script for this, which we'll get into. So let's start off with what we liked about the movie. So Andrew, please start us off. What did you like about Extraction?
So here's the thing with the Extraction. After watching this movie, here's how I would compare it to. It's like Call of Duty meets Terminator 2 Judgment Day meets John Wick. It's like three movies that like had a baby. That's what it feels like. And I personally love the action sequences. The action sequences are insanely amazing. It's so damn entertaining to watch, and Chris Hemsworth is just a blast to watch. He's so enjoyable when he's doing all the fight sequences. But my favorite part of the movie was the car chase scene. The car chase scene is so damn awesome. It's so cool. It's literally like it's all in one shot, really. The way the way it looks, it's like in one shot. It feels like a thrill ride. You're in this car with Chris and the kid. He's driving. The camera's just following them in the car seat when they get out, and then you have like this whole knife fight scene with Chris Hemsworth and this one of the drug lords, bounty hunter. I guess that's how you call it, but. Yeah, that scene was so cool. I don't know how they did it, how they were able to like put it in one shot, but that to me was just awesome. And I will say a lot of the stunt work in this movie is really good. It's well choreographed. I mean, I personally think at some point, that the Academy really needs to consider having a nomination for best stunt work, because these guys work so hard, especially when you're watching this movie, but they work so hard, they risk their lives. People have died doing stunts from many movies like Deadpool 2. I even heard, from like The Dark Knight, someone died on the set from doing a scene. But like, that really needs to be considered. I mean, action movies have progressed throughout the years now. It's become so realistic. It's so much energy. It's very quick when they're fighting. Another thing I really enjoyed about the movie, it's overall entertaining as hell. I mean, heck, it can be wacky at times, but for me, I enjoyed it. I mean, I got a kick out of the insane action, and The kid who's in this movie, I think, does a really good job. I don't know his name. I did look it up. I just can't pronounce it, so I'm not gonna bother. But he's really good in the movie. I like the bond ship with Chris Hemsworth and the kid, and the suspense is pretty solid. But I thought the direction that Sam Hargrave, I can't pronounce Hargrave. He does a really great job directing it. This movie feels like a roller coaster. It's got such a great adrenaline rush, and I think that's really from watching, that's what he wanted to portray this movie. I think that was the direction he wanted to take, and it's a fun movie. It's a hell of a ride. So that's pretty much my good about this movie. Colin?
So you mentioned a lot about the action. This movie, as an action movie, it is mind-blowingly awesome how all these action scenes are choreographed and performed. The movie is bloody, it's gruesome. There are some scenes that literally made me squirm in my seat. You mentioned the car chase scene. Not only is it a car chase scene, but then they get out of the car and continue. So you think this, a lot of movies nowadays try to go with the one-shot action scene. 1917, that was the entire gimmick of that movie. Mm-hmm. So this one, it was a very intense car chase where not only do they have a car, is this one shot just the car chase, but it's also, once they get out of the car, there's a fight, people get hit by cars, they're going in buildings and out, and then there's another car chase, and it's all in the span of this fake one shot. Like, I remember halfway through that sequence, I'm like, oh man, we still have not cut yet.
That's exactly how I felt too. I'm like, is this still in one shot? Like, damn.
It's incredible how they've done it. And even some of the camera work, like how they'll have a camera like outside the car following it, and then it'll go straight into Chris driving with Ovi, the young kid. Speaking of Chris Hemsworth, I think this movie would not have been as strong without Chris Hemsworth in the role. Originally, this project had Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis attached to be the leading man in it. Whether that was now or back in their action hero days, I think that Chris Hemsworth did a fantastic job, because not only he's not playing the typical bland mercenary who literally has nothing but guns and violence in his mind. He seems legit like a professional. Like, honestly, I feel like I was watching an actual mercenary go through an extract up to a certain point where the action gets out of control. So yeah, I would say the two biggest strengths of this movie are the action and Chris Hemsworth in the lead role. Now we got to get into the negatives, and Andrew, I'm going to start this off. This movie has such a bad story. It's so predictable. It has so many. Anytime guns are being fired, fists are being thrown, the movie just snails to a halt, where the basic premise of this movie is Chris Hemsworth needs to extract this kid, and then things happen in the way. Other than that, everything about it is very predictable, not really well toned or like all that exciting. And I think the biggest sin of it is that the first couple minutes ruin the end of the movie. So without spoiling anything, I would highly recommend, if you're going to go watch Extract, which we'll get into whether we're going to recommend it or not, please start the movie at 2 minutes and 26 seconds. At that point, you'll have the title screen on. Start from there, because trust me, you don't want to watch the prologue to this movie, because it is just like a flash forward at the ending, and then it goes back. It's like, oh yeah, 2 days earlier. I'm like, just as I understand why they have to do that, because it does. If you were to take that opening prologue out, sort of, you would have had you need to start this movie with an action scene. I think it would have been a lot more appropriate to have that like jump into the action during that car chase where he's going and trying to get away from these people, rather than have use a scene from the end of the movie. I think the last thing I'll say for negatives is just, aside from Chris Hemsworth, I don't think anyone else in this movie is all that impressive. You mentioned in Ovi, played by, I'll try to pronounce his name. Please correct me if I'm wrong, audience. Rudarish Jeswal. I definitely said that wrong, but that young actor, well, I don't blame him. I think he's a fine actor. He does a fine job, but he is literally just a prop in this movie. He doesn't really have that much of a personality. He's just kind of there to have Chris Hemsworth having to take care of someone. But maybe I may have some more after you, Andrew. But please, what are some negatives you have about this movie?
Right. So, to me, this movie can get very melodramatic, to the point where it just feels really ridiculous and absurd. Especially the ending. The ending is just so like, it's just so cliche. The final action sequence. It's like we've seen this in so many movies in slow-mo. I mean, I'm not trying to give anything away about it, but there was just so many times where I'm just laughing my head off because it's just so ridiculous. All the things are in this movie. Like, one thing I do want to just say something about that I see in this movie, just a few things. Chris Hemsworth, he's great in it, but like in that fight scene in the beginning with him and one of the mercenary guys, Chris Hemsworth falls from a rooftop, hits the ground, and gets hit by a car, and he's still alive. Okay, he's still alive.
I like that. That was good.
Oh no, it was, but it's just like, for people watching, you're gonna find a lot of things to nitpick with this movie and just commentary on a lot of things.
This is
like,
not a movie really to
happen,
criticize
that
like
can't
deeply.
happen. But like, yeah, and then one thing we forgot to mention, David Harbour's in this movie from Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
that to me was the most random part of the whole movie. His character was just so random being in there. It did not need to be needed, and believe it or not, him and Chris Hemsworth have a fight scene together. They get into a physical fight, and it's just so ridiculous. It's hysterical. I'm like laughing my head off just seeing that. Just seeing these two guys go head to head with the action, and it's just like so unrealistic in a way, because like Chris Hemsworth is super younger than David Harbour. He's so young and like masculine, and David Harbour, I mean, he's a little bent out of shape, and like it's just
he's a brute force.
I know, but it's just,
I wouldn't call him. He ain't like a fat.
Oh no, he's not. But it's just like seeing that.
I believe that. I can believe that they could be.
But I'm just I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, Chris Hemsworth against him. It's just like, it's just so like, I don't know, not believable. I mean, the fight scene is great that they have. It's just funny, but it's just like, I just feel like realistically, Chris Hemsworth would be able to kick his ass. But other than that, though,
I would say like Thor Ragnarok Chris Hemsworth with like the jacked up arms.
Yeah.
Then that's a different story. But this is just kind of like toned Chris Hemsworth. Who, literally, like, he's not like the most muscular guy. He's just, he's just like a fit guy. So I think that scene was fine, I guess.
No, the scene was fine. I'm just making a point here. I'm just calling out, like, I'm just saying that there's just times where this movie can just get very wacky and over the top.
Yes.
And I mean, it's fun. It's fun. I like that. I like that it's wacky. I like that it can get wacky at times, but sometimes it can lose a lot of the emotional beats to it. And that's one of the problems of this movie. You don't really feel any emotion to any of these characters. You don't have any sympathy for them. But the action, to me, in this movie makes up for it. But it is kind of a bummer that there really isn't anything to really feel impacted by this movie. But yeah, those are really my negatives about this movie. It's very melodramatic. David Harbour's character was very random. I don't think he didn't need to be in it. I still enjoyed it, but why did we need him? So that's really my negatives for Extraction.
I also found that the movie felt too long. This is a 2-hour movie, and 20 minutes could have been cut out.
I think
because I noticed at the hour mark, I was kind of ready for this to wrap up, and there still was another set of stories. This was even before David Harbour even entered the picture. So by that point, I'm like, come on, let's just kind of get to the end. I was having fun with all the action scenes, and anytime there's action, it is great. But anytime they stop and try and continue the story, even especially when they go into Tyler's backstory. It's just like, I don't need this. Let's just kind of, it's an A to B mission. Let's just kind of do it. There's distraction and all that. This is the definition of a dumb action flick. And I don't mean that all that insulted, because the action truly earns its existence. Because it's not like a stupid, like, Transformers was like, oh, it's just giant robots going at each other. This is literally like the choreography on all the action, the explosions, the gunplay, the fights. It's well done. It really does. It's one of the greatest pure action movies I've seen. I would say it's maybe not as, it's definitely, the movie itself isn't as good as John Wick, but some of the fight scenes in this movie rival some of the stuff that's in the John Wick series.
Yeah, I actually
again,
think the action sequences in this movie is better than the first John Wick, I think. Just like, because I think this, I feel like there's going to be a sequel to this movie. I don't know about you, but I think there might be a sequel to this. I can see.
Oh no! I disagree.
You disagree?
Well, yeah,
I think they can.
We won't get into that, because even I consider, like, mentioning about that could kind of hint at how the ending plays out. But I just think, you mentioned how you think the action's better than John Wick, which I agree with. But any day of the week, I would rather watch John Wick, because it has great writing. The stakes are very clean, and you remember all the characters, the villains, the motivations, and all that. This one, it just seems so procedural. Like, we want to make an action movie. Joe, just write up a script, and we'll more focus on the direction, cinematography, and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to get into our scoring. It's hard to mention who this is for. I think, because it's on Netflix, I think that has a lot to play into it, rather than it's in theaters.
Right.
I feel like if it was in theaters, I would be a little bit harsher on the movie than it is. But seeing how easy accessible it is, and literally you could try it out with a Netflix subscription. If you want to bail out at a certain point, it's so easy to bail out. So I do think that needs to be considered as we give our scores, Andrew.
Yeah, I just want to go back to what you said. I thought the runtime for this movie was, to me, I thought it was fine. I do think it slowed down after that car chase scene after that, because I do agree we didn't need the backstory. But I thought for the most part, it was going at a good pace. The first half of this movie does a great job. It's very fast paced. It feels like a roller coaster, which I liked. It does slow down in the second act of the film. To me, though, this movie, I did enjoy this movie, and I would definitely want to watch this again. I watched this actually on my laptop this morning, so I definitely want to check it out on the TV later today or at some point this weekend. It is entertaining to watch, and that's why I would recommend this movie. If you want to have an enjoyable, entertaining action flick movie, I would recommend checking out Extraction. I think you'll have a good time with it. It's not a perfect movie, but it's still a fun movie, a thrill ride to watch.
Okay, and on that note, Andrew, I'm going to guess your score for Extraction. You mentioned a lot of, you praising the action, and you also criticizing the corniness and some of the melodrama that's in between all the action scenes. I'm going to take a guess and say you're going to give this movie a 7 out of 10.
Okay, I'm going to give this movie a little bit of higher of a score, just a slight higher score. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. This is
okay,
a solid,
I'm in the ballpark.
Yeah, you're right in the ballpark. It's a solid C movie for me, so I enjoyed it. It's a fun, entertaining movie. I laughed my ass off at certain parts, so
jeez.
I think I liked it. There's just some crazy nonsense in this movie, but hey, whatever. All right, Colin, I'm gonna do your score now. I think you're going to go lower than me. So, based on your comments and what you have said, I think you're going to give this movie a 6.5 out of 10.
So, during the first half of the movie where I was really digging the action and all that, I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is a 7 out of 10 movie. I really think it's a lot of fun to watch, especially on a big screen, like a TV, obviously, not a movie screen.
I would love to see this on a big screen.
Yeah, this would have been one that, honestly, if it just on the action scenes, I would want to see it in theaters. But on the other end, this movie should not be in theaters because the script is just so bad. So, get into the second half of the movie. It does bring it down to a 6.5, Andrew. You are correct. I think that this is very much a rainy day kind of movie. If you're interested in action, especially if you're like if you're comfortable with like gore and like child mercenaries and all that.
If you like Call of Duty games, you're gonna love this movie. Because I really feel like watching it just felt like a Call of Duty game almost.
Just go in with low expectations. Maybe have a couple beers with you and kind of just have a blast and just kind of zone out during the plot.
I will say I enjoy the action scenes. I mean,
they're great.
It's just like it's so cartoonish at times. It feels it's just so like
it's so much
nuts.
fun, but
it's
not
so crazy.
There's a lot of action in it, but it's not consistent enough to kind of like, you know what? Forget the plot. We're just here to have fun. No, they still are taking it a little too serious and they're dragging it out too much.
I just love how indestructible Chris Hemsworth in this movie. Like he's literally like
I wouldn't say he's bleeding.
Movie.
Like he needs like bandages.
It's
like
how
the
hell he's still alive. And,
anyway.
Oh, wait. And also, too, I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but this part, he gets to a fight with the kids, and he just goes, boom.
I mean, it's not... I like the fact that he's just a mercenary for hire. He's like, listen, I'm here to save your life. Come with me. Let's cooperate. I'm the good guy. And... you go from there.
And Chris Hemsworth's a good actor. He's
really good in the movie.
I can't wait to see what movies he's going to be doing in the future, because I think he's a very underrated actor, and he's really shown throughout Avengers and other films as well, including this, that he has a lot of potential in him. So I can't wait to see what he does more.
He's definitely not just Thor. He is Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Which I think is important to know, because a lot of these actors get typecasted in these roles. He deserves to be a leading man in other movies. So on that note, Andrew, I'd like to thank our audience for listening to our latest review of The Good, the Bad, the Score. Follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you want an audio version, go to our SoundCloud page. Everything on all sites, you just search for Good, Bad, Score. That is GODBADSCOR. Andrew, I can't spell.
Yeah, just go to follow us. Just go on just type in @GoodBadScore. And you'll find us right there on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're also on SoundCloud as well, and you can even watch the video on YouTube. Same thing @GoodBadScore. Or you can
one day I'm gonna learn how to spell score.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Tell your friends, your family. Please share it around. If you like it, leave a comment. Tell us what you think. And we will see you for our next review. Stay healthy and see you around.
See you.